Okay. Hello, really longathon. I'm Anorakkis, and welcome to Twilight Princess Low Percent. This is quite the run to be doing at a really longathon, but hopefully it'll go well. I forgot to delete the files beforehand, so I'm going to delete them now. So, if everything goes well, I'll have about 3 minutes of gameplay at the start of the run, and then I'll be able to go AFK for an hour. However, there's a bit of RNG right at the start, so hopefully it treats me well. Alright. Starting time in 3, 2, 1, go. Thanks for the good luck. Right. So, the first thing I need to do is go over here and grab a rock to clip through this gate up here, because we don't like the normal story, so we clip out of it as soon as possible. There's a rupee that drops there. Grabbing that rupee is bad luck, so don't grab it. Hopefully the gate is nice to me and will let me through first try. There's a little bit of RNG in it. It did let me through first try. Then I'm going to be trying to void out and reset at the same time. And that should end me up on the title screen. Jump off the bridge. Have a good night, Fuddlebob, and thanks for restreaming. I did do a safe setup for that back in time glitch there, and that lost me only 7 seconds. Alright, so coming up we have what's called a rupee slide, or a pickup slide, depending on who you ask. Now, I'd say that I don't have time to explain it in full, but I will have an hour while it's happening. So, basically what it's going to look like is I'm going to pick up a rupee. Hopefully it'll be first try, but it's very unlikely that it'll be first try. I'm going to pick up a rupee and then just stare at it for a few hours. And because of a missing frame in Link's animation while he's holding a rupee in his hand, it will move me very slowly backwards until I eventually clip through the gate. This is early enough in the run that in PB attempts, we normally just reset here until we get a first try. But that doesn't seem very good for a marathon, so we'll just be saving and quitting every time I fail. I'll be doing a setup to get a specific angle here. Setups are not really that common in TP, but this is a case where we need an exact angle, and I mess it up there. I'm going to be killing these bokoblins. There's about a 45% chance that one of them will drop a rupee. Blue rupee, that is. And in this case, that didn't happen, so I'll be saving and quitting and trying again. And we might be here for a while. It might take like 8 tries. Theoretically, it's about a 25% chance that I get a rupee that lands in a good spot. At least that's what I found in testing. But testing does not always indicate what marathon luck will be. That rupee might work. That rupee did not work. And I know because Link turned the wrong direction. I'm looking for Link to turn clockwise instead of counterclockwise. Because the thing that matters in this rupee slide is, well, you need to get a fast speed, and a fast speed is not very fast. We're talking about 0.007 in-game units per second. And in order to get that speed, I need this exact angle, which is gotten with the angle I just got, plus Link turning clockwise. Unlucky there as well. That goblin came out. Unfortunately, it would mess up my setup, so I have to get rid of it. Once again, Link turned the wrong direction. The turnarounds I do during this setup slightly adjust Link's angle, just kind of fine-tune it. Hold the map there, interesting. Great D-pad on the GameCube controller. I don't think that rupee is close enough, but we'll try it. Nah, it's not close enough. Hopefully we can get this soon. This is the only really bad RNG of the run. After this, it should be fairly straightforward. I don't think this rupee will work. I think it'll make me turn the wrong way, but we'll try it. So that does work. That is the right speed. And it would take me about 3 extra minutes compared to normal to do this, but I think I'm just going to take that. Just for marathon safety, I suppose. Alright. So, I have picked up the rupee. Link has his back against the skate. And we're going slowly backwards. Very, very slowly. Because of a missing frame in just the animation Link's going through right now. Now, this is the fastest speed. It will take me about 1 hour and 16 minutes to get through the gate. And they've told me that nothing's going to be happening during this. This will be the only thing on stream. So, we can have a lot of fun watching this. I'm probably going to end up walking away and just putting a GIF on or something. This is the shorter of the 2 rupee slides in the run. The longer one will be about 3.5 hours into the run, and we'll be through the big gate in Arbiter's Grounds. All right. I'll at least put text on screen saying when it'll end. So that's a little big. So I'll explain what's happening again. Okay, so Link has a missing frame in his idle animation when he's staring at an item that he's holding. Oh, I should probably put that a little bit up so you can see the whole thing. And so we're abusing that right now. So I'm going to be holding this rupee for a long time until Link backs up enough to clip through this gate. It'll take about an hour and 16 minutes. And I'm getting ready to just walk away. Alright. I'm going to turn my camera off. If you have any questions, ask in chat. I might answer, or there are some other runners here that might answer. I feel like we might be explaining what's happening quite a few times, because this is not very obvious. See you in a bit, everyone. I just turned that off. Does it work? Oh, I might have been slightly wrong about how much extra time it would be. One second. I'll admit it's just a GIF, but maybe I'll get the full video by the post line. Alright, actually walking away now. Have fun, everyone. Hello. Alright, just 1.2 units left on the x-axis until I'll press A. I'm not sure why it disables the collision checks for Link while you're holding a rupee, but it does. The only collision it checks for is the ground. I'm sure there's some good reason for that. Not sure why. And yeah, this slide is to skip a small key. Well, we're pretty much already to 127 on the timer, so I'll just get rid of that text. It could be to make the animation work in some cases. That would make sense. There are a lot of similarities between Twilight Princess and the Wind Waker. I did start about 4 units away from where I meant to, which means my Zmax is currently about 2 units ahead of where I would expect, which basically means this has 0 chance of failing, which is nice. Okay, 0.4 units left. You're welcome, Lost Shinta. Should probably send a Discord reminder out. To my community. So, the next 2 hours of the run are the most interesting. Because they're the parts where we're actually playing the game. Alright, it is time to press A. And we are through. So, just once again, a recap of what just happened. I went and picked up a rupee at an optimal angle in front of that gate. So that over time, because of a missing animation in Link's... or a missing frame in Link's idle animation, because of that, it moves me very slowly backwards, and that lets me clip through the wall. There will be one more slide in this run. It'll be in Arbiter's Grounds in about 2 hours. Why did I spin attack? That is not the thing to do there. Alright. So, there are still a few things that I need to skip. Right, that slide was to skip a small key. The small key that would be used to open that gate. But there are still some things to skip between now and Arbiters, and that's where the interesting stuff comes in. Yeah, it lasts 9 hours and 40 minutes in Arbiter's Grounds. So now we get to the part of goat herding. There are 20 goats. I will hopefully get them in about 20 seconds. But the goats can be jerks sometimes, and I think there was one that went slightly off course. 2. Yeah, that one right there. It went too far. I was expecting it to go less far. Coming up right after this is Mayor Bo. We'll be doing some sumo wrestling. These goats are not being super nice today. which is just another element of RNG. I'd say early in this run, but we are more than an hour in. Okay, 45. That's some pretty slow goats. There would be a sleep break while watching this, but it's currently like 9 AM for me, and this run is going to end before I would go to sleep, so I'm probably just going to be sitting here and chatting for most of the other slide. Probably about the same as the first slide. So this is Bo. He's in a little bit of a broken state because I did the back-in-time glitch at the beginning of the run. We're not supposed to get iron boots until about an hour through the any % speedrun, except because I did that trick, I'm able to do it now. That sounds like a good idea, Xenocat. Massive chess tournament. Yeah, we could do that. So optimally, Bo will just go to the side, I'll slap him, and we'll be able to push him straight out. That isn't always how it goes, though. Pretty good that time. This is the cycle that's typically worse, but let's see how it works. Oh. Nearly perfect bow RNG. Nice to see. So I am currently 12 minutes behind PB. It is still possible to world record this run. Which is great. Very unlikely, but it is possible. World record is 14 hours and 7 minutes. And some amount of seconds that I don't remember. This is a very funny category. Very memey. I don't know that I have a favorite flag. I like a lot of flags. The flags behind me are chosen by my viewers. It's a channel point reward. Alright, sorry for that. Someone came and wanted to talk to me for a second. So I attempted a trick that I didn't get. It's a very small frame window to break that box before the cutscene. And it saves about 3 frames if I can get it, but I missed it. Through this section, just the Twilight sewers, the castle sewers, whatever. There are a few optimizations, but generally it's a fairly consistent segment. I went diagonal into the cutscene there and triggered it early, which saved about half a second. Most of the other time savers are going to be dependent on me mashing fast, or at the right tempo, or something, because they're one-frame tricks. There's going to be some sections where I'm using Midna to jump up the tower and across other platforms. And if there's text before one of those jumps, then I can jump up early with a frame-perfect A press. So let's see how many of those I can get. Talking to Midna early saves a little bit of time on her text. For some reason, it's kind of weird. Alright, that's an example of a one-frame jump. If I mashed correctly and got the jump early. Now we just climb the tower as normal. Thanks, Sky, for the good luck. Okay, that was another one-frame jump that I missed. Skipped some min-detects there by a frame-perfect jump, and jumped off. Cool. I was going for a little jump that saves 0.3 seconds there, and I missed it. Which means I got this min-detect. Alright, I'm not going for the jump this time, because that would be slow. If I missed it again. Yeah, I don't usually fail that. But that is the consequence if you do fail it. Either that or you bonk, which is much nicer. Coming up, there's a trick called Sword and Shield Skip. Once I talk to Zelda, I'll be heading there. And basically, there's a Bulblin. His name's Hugo. We're going to be taking him near the Twilight barrier and using him to jump over a trigger on the ground. There's a bit of text that Midna would say if I hit that trigger that says, "Hey, you don't have a sword or shield. You should go back and get a sword and shield." I don't know what Midna's talking about. I clearly have a sword and shield on my back. So, there's no reason. Alright, hi Hugo. How you doing today? Happy New Year, and happy birthday too. One of these days it'll actually be his birthday, and he'll be very happy, I'm sure. So, this is going to abuse what's known as a long jump attack, where if I'm targeting something that is above me, or over a void, and I do a jump attack, it'll give me a longer jump attack than normal. We'll abuse that quite a bit later in the run, but this is the first case of it. I don't trust that. Hugo, just get into position, please. Okay, unfortunately I missed it there, so I'm going to have to void out and try again. Hugo only has enough health to be hit twice, so I have to void out to refill his health. Yeah, this trick is really hard to learn for beginners. Definitely one of the biggest roadblocks in the game. Especially because it is required in the any % speedrun. I literally can't go and get the sword and shield right now. Because of the back in time glitch. There is a good beginner route out there that doesn't have this trick, though. So, if anyone's looking to get into this game, there are options that don't require this trick. Heck, there's even a low percent route that doesn't do this trick. No, it does it once. The low percent, the old low percent route does this trick once. Hugo, stop swinging so far back. I should probably learn. There's a slightly different way of doing this than what I do. That if I learned it, it would make it a bit more lenient, but I've been stubborn. There we go. Alright. We are now in Fair and Twilight. And the important thing about Fair and Twilight is I need to not collect the tears. This Twilight is not required to beat the game. It does help in some cases, but it doesn't help in low percent. There is a trick coming up called Early Master Sword, EMS, which I will actually have to do twice in this run. And if I forget to do it the second time, it will be a very big time loss. So, we're just going to remember to do it both times, okay? So, there's going to be a cutscene here that I need to skip and then ignore the Spirit of Light, because I do not need to finish this Twilight. Okay, so there's, you know, in the next room, the one after this, there's kind of a gate that I didn't open. I did a rupee slide through it. It's still closed. So how am I going to get through it? Am I going to do another rupee slide? Interestingly enough, rupee slides don't work as wolf. So we have to find a different way through it. And fortunately, there is a very easy way through it as wolf. Yeah, it's about an 18-minute time loss if I forget to do EMS the second time. Because I would have to go back to a previous save. Because I need to not collect the warp portal. And forgetting to do EMS the second try is getting the warp portal. So, yeah, there's this gate right here. Fortunately, I can just aim kind of that way, and then bonk and do some side hops to get through. Very easy. Shoutouts to Skyrion for rediscovering that trick. So, here's EMS. There's the Shadow Beast named Jamal. And I'm going to use a super jump, using a Midna charge, to get on that ledge. That was very close, but unfortunately missed it the first try. So I need to kill one of the other Shadow Beasts to revive Jamal. That's not a good position. And we'll be trying again. I didn't go far enough left. That was a position problem. There is a way to do it on the left side as well, which I'm usually consistent at, but today is not quite my day. Alright, there we go. Fourth try EMS, that lost about 40 seconds, I would guess. And we're on to the Grove. there's not much to say about the Grove. Just this, like, 5-minute long section to get the Master Sword. We play it essentially just vanilla, glitchless. Chasing Skull Kid around, hitting Skull Kid 3 times, and then going to an arena and hitting Skull Kid 3 more times. So I'm going to be trying to do a semi-precise jump off of this ledge so that I don't land in the water below, but I land on the land instead. It really isn't that hard, but it saves like 3 seconds. Got it. Just have to press A at the right time to dash. So, just to give some commentary on the game itself, Twilight Princess currently is the 3D Zelda game that has the longest 20% run, unless you count the remakes, because I believe Skyward Sword HD is longer. Because we just generally don't have giant skips in this game. Like, I started speedrunning this game in 2013, and the any percent run hasn't changed very much since then. There have been things found, but not big hour time savers or anything. Like some other games have gotten. So, I mean, low percent in the last about 14 months has gone down 11 hours, but that's a different story in and of itself. But getting to the Master Sword, getting the Master Sword as early as we do it is about the same as it's always been. At least since 2009, I think, is when the trick was found. And having the Master Sword early allows us to transform between human and wolf at will, which will help in a lot of things. I don't care about wasting time to get rupees. I need some extra rupees during this run. Alright, compared to my PB, I'm losing like 45 seconds here, but it's okay. Surely I'll start saving time again soon. There is a 2-frame window on each of these jumps where I can press the sense button, and we joke that how many sense presses you get is indicative of how good the run is going to be. That's my third one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This will be a 10 out of 12 speedrun. Yeah, I released a video about... It was during the gate slide. It was about half an hour ago. Sorta. Actually, about an hour ago. About the changes that have happened to low percent in the last year. So if you're wanting to kill some time during the post slide, you can watch that video about 45 times. So, most cutscenes in this game you can skip, but as you can see, I can't skip this one. This is just a 2-minute long unskippable cutscene, which we have a few of in this run. I believe Master Sword cutscene skip is a thing in Rando, but I also haven't played Rando for a while. That also makes sense, geez. Okay. So, it would probably be a good idea for me to save, just in case I forget to do EMS again. So I'm going to do that. Very important that I keep the save on file 2. It'll become important as soon as I enter the Forest Temple. I hear there's also a big marathon, if you like unskippable cutscenes, called Really, Really Lots of Lore. RRLAT6. That's the last letter. Which is currently taking submissions. So if you have runs that have long unskippable cutscenes, boy, do I have news for you. I believe there's a chat command for it. I'm not sure what exactly it is. Might be in the title. So, it doesn't look like this fog is dispersing, because it's in Twilight, and I'm not supposed to be able to turn human here. But I can swing the lantern a couple of times and get through the fog really quickly. Do this gate clip again. Time for EMS again. That is, like, entirely the purpose of really, really long-a-thon Xenocat, so I think you'll do just fine. I mean, this run has 10 hours of staring at a rupee. So, you know. Unfortunately, Jamal being a little mean there. There is some RNG in Jamal swinging, and I can't do this trick with a fast swing. And Jamal gave me 2 fast swings there. Another one. There we go. I should probably grab a heart. I definitely need to grab a heart before entering the Forest Temple. Here's a heart. Time to enter the Forest Temple. I'll be doing a trick here called Forest Temple Back in Time. Pretty similar to a trick I did right at the start of the run. Except this time it's in the Forest Temple. Unfortunately I missed the frame there, so I'm going to have to try again. Which is actually unfortunate because I need to reset. I can't do this trick on 1 heart. Low transforms, which is being talked about in chat, is another category in this game that I helped route. No one has run it yet. It is about 33 hours long, by my estimate. So, It could be a good candidate for really, really longathon sometime in the future. The next rupee slide will start in a bit over an hour. We're actually in the gameplay part of low percent right now. So I'll be grabbing this nut from the Baba and using it to kill some of the Waltulas. Well, one of the Waltulas on the wall. I can't kill both. Now this other Waltula, there are a few options of what to do with it. Either I can just climb past it, which it doesn't look like it's giving me the RNG for that. Actually, it does. It does look like it's giving me the RNG for that. So I'm going to try that. It is not giving me the RNG for that. Okay. Otherwise, I grab this other nut and throw it at it, and hopefully it dies. It did. Cool. Alright. So, that back in time I did at the start of the dungeon was so that the game would think that I have saved all of the monkeys due to some weird flag shenanigans. So, now these monkeys are here and they're helping me across the bridge. Thanks, monkeys. Time for some more RNG with Ook. The number of hops that Ook does is RNG. Minimum of 2, but it could theoretically go on forever. The highest anyone's seen, as far as I'm aware, is about 25. One, 2, 3. 3 hops. Not too bad. So I lost about 20 seconds by having to do the back in time at the start of the dungeon twice. Well, I didn't do the back in time. By failing the back in time at the start of the dungeon once. And that is all we're going to see of the Forest Temple. I'm just going to save warp and get out of here. Remember kids, iron boots always go on eggs. Alright. So the next goal I have is to get to the Elden Vessel, but there are a few things I need to do between now and then. First thing I need to do is escape the forest. There are 2 things that are normally required to escape the forest. One of them is clearing this Twilight. The other thing is clearing the Forest Temple. I am doing neither of those things. So I'm going to do an LJA, which is the same mechanic I used to defeat, or to get into the Twilight with the Bulblin, except I'm going to do it with the Boomerang. The Boomerang is the most OP item in Twilight Princess because of this trick. It isn't on the Wii version, though. It doesn't work with the Boomerang in the Wii version. Okay, I am now out of the forest. The next thing on my list is I need to do what's known as postman skip. Basically, there is a postman. He gives you letters. If I get a single letter during the speedrun is dead. It no longer would count for low percent. So I'm doing a safety save there in case I fail it, but it should be a fairly simple trick. Yeah, it doesn't work on the Wii version because it untargets when you pull out your sword on the Wii version. Probably something related to the fact that you swing it instead of just pressing a button. Alright, I successfully jumped over the postman trigger. Let's go. Alright, coming up is something known as Gorge Void, and it is something that any percent runners really don't like. Because if I miss it, it loses a minute, and it's a frame-perfect jump attack into the void after I get this portal. The Wii version actually came out a month before the GameCube version. Wii 1.0 is the first version of the game, but because of the motion controls, the glitch was patched with the boomerang. Alright, I got the frame-perfect jump into the void. It saves about a minute. Let's go. The Wii speedrun is actually really cool. I have, I think, 4th place on the Wii leaderboards, and they do some really cool things to get around the restriction of not having that. Not having the boomerang long jump. I would recommend checking out a Wii run if you're interested. So now I'm doing an LJA with this rupee onto the fence. The rupee text will stop me on the fence, and I missed it. So that's great. I will probably have to save warp, unless this big spot has a blue rupee. It did. Okay, now I can do the backup setup, and hopefully it works, otherwise I will be save warping. Okay. Save warp just to get the rupee text back. I'll be doing this trick again. It's because you can't keep the target on the boomerang when you pull the sword out, Nimbus. So failing that probably lost me about a minute. It's fine. I'm fine. My estimate is 30 minutes higher than my PB. I'm fine. Especially because my PB is garbage. Hopefully it works this time. Okay. Got to the other side of this fence. Now I just need to do another LJA to get across the gorge. To get to Kakirigyo Village. I think that's the angle? For some reason it's not looking right. Okay, we're good. On the other side of this fence, there is a trigger that would send me to the King Bulblin 1 fight, so I need to just walk around that trigger. Yeah, I'll be doing my new setup for the Epona Out of Bounds later, which is a very cool trick at the end of Elden Twilight. Probably about half an hour until then, I imagine. I should also mention world record is no longer possible, and PB still is. but I'd say PB is also unlikely. Alright, I can now go and get the vessel, but I'm not going to because that is slightly slow. Instead, I'm going to go back to the gorge, avoid this trigger again. You don't need to go as wide as I do, but better safe than sorry. It loses you about 2 minutes if you hit the trigger. So then I'm going to be going up here and activating a cutscene, which will make me warp to Farron. This also gives me the ability to warp by pulling up my map, which is actually the reason why I need it. Otherwise, we would just skip this portal entirely. Being able to warp from the map is useful in pretty much exactly one case in this speedrun, which is warping the City in the Sky cannon from the basement of the Sanctuary in Kakariko over to Lake Hylia. There is a way to warp it without getting map warping, but it is very TAS-only. Let's say it that way. Thanks, Fuddlebub. There have been a lot of developments for this run in the last year as well, which makes it even better. So I need to do the LGA to escape the forest again. Yes, it's TAS only in the sense that you would have to frame perfectly alternate A and B for about 4 seconds. Actually, probably only like 2 seconds in order to do it. And I don't think human hands can go that fast. This is a 30 FPS game. Rude. Such a rude bomb skit. What the heck? That almost never happens. Come on. Come on, game. Alright. There is a fence here. I'm going to be clipping through it. It's a fairly easy gate clip. And then comes what is known as pillar clip, which is one of my least favorite tricks in the game. So let's hope I can get it first try. Sounds good, Puddlebub. The next Droopy slide will be in a little over an hour. And that'll be the long one. So I'm going to be trying to call Minda at a precise position and timing here, which will push me through the wall, and I'll be able to get into Lake Bed. Really. That was a very strange camera, but it did work. The camera is not usually that weird. Because there are different ways to get into Lake Bed early. On the Wii version, they use what's called a Midna dive, where they call Midna on the edge of a platform to have a box push them off, and then that gives them enough momentum to clip out of bounds, and then they can swim to the loading zone. It's a very cool trick. Okay, so I'm in Lakebed Temple now, and I have 2 objectives. I need to get Uku, which will be very important to return to this dungeon because I won't be able to do Pillar Clip later due to Lake Hylia will have higher water later, and that makes it impossible. And I need to get the claw shot, which is important for a few reasons, which I'll get to when I get to them. So I'll be doing what's known as New Lakebed, which is funny because it's at least a year old at this point, I think. But going down these stairs and bonking, apparently, because I didn't time the roll correctly. Going over here and going back up the stairs is faster than doing an LJA, which we did previously. There's Uku in this pot. And I jump down to get through this door. Now, the same thing that caused me to have all of the monkeys saved in the Forest Temple, the back in time I did at the start of the Forest Temple, it's going to have another effect here. Normally, to get into the Deku Toad fight, you need to go and blow up a rock and go under. However, because of what I did earlier, I can just go through this door and start the fight. Again, due to some flag shenanigans. Deku Toad is a fairly quick boss fight. I should be doing it in one cycle, as long as I can time my sword swings correctly. If you have the ball and chain for this fight, Deku Toad is only 2 hits. But I have to do 10 semi-precise hits to do one cycle with the Master Sword. And I missed it there. Went a little too fast. This run is really bad, but it's fine. Okay. There is a trick that I won't be going for because it has potential to crash the game and saves 8 seconds, but I'm going to be doing something different. Yeah, it's not only marathon luck, but marathon skill too. Yes, this is the category where we stare at a rupee for 10 hours to clip through a gate. You popped in at the right point. If you pick a random point during the speedrun, it is very likely to be during one of those slides. I was thinking that B attack would get me off the ledge, but it didn't quite. Right. Fire is going to be looking over at a sound that he hears. And we're going to see. He's going to say it's a monster, but I don't know if it's a monster. Oh, turns out it is a monster. Whoa. Pretty often the monster is out of frame there and you just see the grass. And it's funny. So I'm going to be dashing up to this corner here. That will start the Kargrok's flight early. And then going to be hopefully doing a 1 cycle on this Kargrok. Where are you going, Kargrok? Alright, that's what the quick fight looks like. Camera clips out of bounds here because Giga Chad cameraman. Yeah, drowning the Karg Rider is the other strat that you could do there. It saves 8 seconds over what I did. But if you fail it, it crashes. And I'd rather not crash, because I had a difficult enough time getting the coordinates cheat code to work. Well, no, it was getting the game in 480p instead of 480i. I would rather not have to boot the game up again. There currently isn't a TAS of this category. There are some cool Twilight Princess TASes of any percent and all dungeons, but no one has done low percent yet. Shoutouts to Gymnast and Ek for making those TASes. And if we could play as well as those TASes, then we would skip, like, 2 more portals and another small key in the speedrun. But those tricks are very TAS only, and I don't think they'll be RTA viable for quite a while. Yeah, low percent is actually more than twice as long as 100% for this game. It's longer than the category I did 3 days ago for Really Really Longathon, which was 100% plus, which even requires opening all of the chests in the game. I've only done 1 Twilight Princess speedrun that was longer than low percent, and that was glitchless 100% plus. No cutscene skips, which took me about 14.5 hours. But it takes that to get longer than low percent. Yeah, I've done 100% plus during the long rupee slide before. In fact, I believe my world record run of Hundo Plus that wasn't during Really Really Longathon was during a rupee slide. I'm going to warp to Kakariko and do Elden Twilight. This Twilight's about 8 minutes long, and there's something very important for me to remember. Okay, I'll need that reminder in like 7 minutes, chat. Give me a break. There's a portal in Death Mountain Trail, which is just north of this area. And there's a portal in that area that is very easily skippable. However, I have forgotten to skip it in a low percent run before. So I might need a reminder. Nice roll. Also, this is a well-programmed game. I side-hopped into the well, and it flipped me through. Someone complimented me on that unintended pun. Well-programmed game the other day, and now I do it intentionally. I already have 37 rupees, which is higher than I need. However, I will still be getting as many rupees during this Twilight as I can. I need to get, ideally, up to 100 rupees by the time I enter Snow Peak. It's possible to leave that room before the game registers that you collect the tier, because for some reason there's a delay. If you do, you just have to go back in and collect it again, which is sad. Sad when you have to do it. Yep, very well programmed game. I'm gonna be breaking these boxes, hoping for some rupees. I'll be getting enough rupee here. Take that. That Bulblin just got in my way. ₹70 at this point. That's already plenty, but if I can get to 80 rupees, that would be really good. Okay, coming up is a trick called Bomb House Skip, where we skip the bomb house, but it looks funny. There's a bug that runs into the bomb house. I'm going to be trying to kill that bug before it gets to the bomb house, and that will make the game think that I already destroyed the bomb house. So, let's see how it works. Boom. Wow, that was a funky camera. Yeah, there's a way to do that entirely as well. It is more difficult and saves only 3 seconds over what I did. So I prefer to do the human method whenever I can. ₹78 isn't too bad. A side hop is the fastest way to get down to the ground here. It saves like a second over the other methods, and I have no idea why. Yeah, I side hop through the rupees to skip their text. Good question. Okay. I need at least one person in chat to remind me to skip the portal. Can I get a reminder, please? Thank you, Prince. Thank you, Jenkar. Thank you, TGD. Thank you, Rainway. Rainway? Sorry if I mispronounce it. So there are these shadow beasts here. I don't like shadow beasts. There's no reason to fight them. Alright, skip to the portal. Let's go. That's all it takes. That's one of the most important reasons why we needed Flash out early. There are a couple other reasons, though. Nice steam. Just barely missed the cycle. Collect this last tier and we'll be finishing the Twilight and on to the nearer Twilight. Now, normally there's a meteor, well, a lava rock. It's not a meteor, it comes from a volcano. I have to remind myself this. That falls in the place where we just were. So normally, you would just warp up there, but I didn't have the portal, so we get to climb instead. It has a cool skip, though, so there is something to talk about. Alright, so I'm going to be climbing up here, turning around, doing a spin attack, and that'll let me walk backwards and get on this wall so that the Goron just doesn't hit me. I don't have to skip that Goron, but it does save quite a bit of time because it avoids some cutscenes. If you want another good short Twilight Princess video to watch, you can look at terran.com/coolgame. Which shows that Twilight Princess is a cool game. Sometimes that Goron doesn't show up for some reason. Ow. So, on my splits, normally you just have a split for Linear Twilight, maybe also Linear Vessel. In this run, we have a split for Castletown Bug. And that's because we are going to be skipping the Castletown portal. The way we do that is really, really cool, a very fun glitch. So, stay tuned for that. So there's this rock. Midna's gonna say something about this thing has been here for a while, even though it literally just fell. You're right, Midna. It has been here for a while. Cool. Got the frame-perfect side hop to skip some Midna text. We'll be staring... We've already stared at a rupee for 1 hour. We'll be staring at the rupee again pretty soon. For another 2 hours. For another 9.5 hours, I mean. And by pretty soon, I mean within the next hour. So here's the Vessel of Light. Once again, I need to be collecting all of the tiers in the Twilight. I'm going to be collecting 3 before I do the big skip that I was just talking about. The next slide is in Arbiter's Grounds. It'll be within the next hour. Depending on how things go before then. It's about 3:15 into a normal run, and this is slower than a normal run. I still haven't decided if I'm going to go for Stallard skip in this run, but I don't think I will. Yeah, normal being a run that can reset for the first rupee slide, and is therefore able to get it optimally. I did not get it optimally this run. I think with my original starting time, it would have been about that time for the rupee slide to end about the New Year, East Coast time. But it should end slightly before, I believe. Might be about the same time in some time zone. Alright, now we're going to Kakariko, because it is time for the flying horse. And I came up with a new setup for this yesterday, so I really hope it works. Alright, I'm going to be backflipping off of Epona and getting what is known as map glitch. By plugging in my controller, pressing D-pad right and Z at the same time so that that didn't happen. I messed it up. Bruh. Alright, let's call the horse again. Wait till you see this new setup, geez. It's pretty fast. Yeah, I need to press D-pad right to pull up the map, and Z to call Midna on the same frame. And normally it's very consistent, but I did miss it there. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to look like. Now I have successfully gotten map glitch. I could do it unbuffered. I'm a win. Alright. I'm going to be lining up Epona right around here. I want Link to be invisible, but the back of the saddle to be visible. That. Turn to face this pillar. Mash 5 spurs. Map glitch disables loading zones, which lets me just easily go out of bounds. Turn left. And lose some height. Now Epona will be partially in the ground, and I'll be able to save warp. That should be high enough to go for the invisible wall. Oh, is there an ad right now? I'm so sorry, everyone. That is actually a really terrible time for it. This skips a portal. This skips the portal that is right next to Castletown. So I save warp to re-enable loading zones to cancel the map glitch that I did. And now we're going to be riding the horse to the Castletown entrance. Yeah, it sounds like the ads are done, so we're good. Have a good night, Fuddlebob. Thanks again for getting me on. So, if you didn't know, Hyrule Castle is on stilts that go down to the bottom of the world. I think that's a pretty lesser-known fact. Where are they? Okay, I'm going to be fairly careful here. Link, what are you doing? Just need to make sure that I line up correctly. If Epona touches the loading zone here, the game will crash. I'll double check my position again. Yeah, that should be backing up pretty much straight on. I should be hitting an invisible wall soon. Yeah. So there's the invisible wall. I can just backflip off and we get to the loading zone. That, my friends, is Epona out of bounds to East Castletown. And it is the coolest trick in this speedrun, in my opinion. I do dash cancels, which is just pressing B right after A to cancel out of the dash. That is the fastest way to get through Castletown. It is basically not fastest anywhere else. Alright, I get this tier, and then I warp up to Zora's Domain to continue with the Twilight. Yeah, I came up with that setup for dropping some height with Epona the other day. And I like it a lot more than either of the previous setups. Ow. This bug can be a jerk. I'm going to be going for something called Waterfall Side Hop here. Hopefully I can get it. I did get it. So that's a 3-frame window to side hop onto this ledge. Saves about 5 seconds over the next fastest strat, and 15 seconds over if you fail it. Not the best lily pad bugs, but they worked fine. I have Uku Jr. because I visited Lakebed earlier. So, yeah, that's the Uku from Lakebed. Coming up is something that you don't see in any other Twilight Princess speedrun. It is exclusive to low percent. It doesn't skip anything, it's just faster and it is cooler than the other strat. Specifically in this category. That is, normally in any percent, you would go down to Lake Hylia and fly the Kargarok for these 4 bugs from the bottom, but instead we're going to be flying from the top. I missed the first bug. Let's go. You want to actually fly toward the first bug, Link? I said this was faster. I haven't actually timed it. I don't actually know for sure that it's faster, but I really hope it is, because this is a cool thing. That's not good. Okay, I got it. Yeah, it's a different Epona out of bounds in the Wii any percent run, but it is very cool in Wii. So like I said earlier, Lake Hylia has higher water now, so I would not be able to enter Lakebed Temple at this point without some very difficult strats. So now we just have the boss bug, and then we'll be on to another dungeon. Low percent is the speedrun where we get the fewest things possible, and it involves some very strange strats in Twilight Princess, making the run 5 hours longer than 100% plus, which is the category that gets everything in the game, including all of the chests. Yeah, it reduces lag and also makes the bug's position more consistent. It's not strictly necessary, though. Okay, I'm 16 minutes behind PB. PB is still possible, but it's not going to happen. I'd have to go for early A-Press, which I'm not going for. As much as TGD wants me to. Okay. The next thing on my list is I need to steal a bomb bag. Now, the bomb bag I'm going to steal is the Lent bomb bag from Isa. Isa gives you a bomb bag to blow up some rocks. And normally you're not supposed to escape, but we have ways. This bomb bag will disappear if I save warp, if I die, or if I beat a dungeon. So it's a very limited time that I'll have it. And I'll be using it specifically for the lakebed boss. I'm not going to go for... could go for Stallard Skip. I really could. I need to howl at this Howling Stone. I should not forget that. I would need to steal again for the Stallard fight, yes. Okay, there's a one-frame side hop that I probably won't get, but I'll try it. Nice one, Prince. I did not get it. Alright. Hi, Isa. What do you mean it's closed? So, for some reason, the developers forgot to make it so you can't use Uku in this room. So I'm just going to leave some bombs. I'm going to return those couple of bombs. I'm sure they won't blow up. I'm sure Isa will be fine. It's okay, I promise. And then I'll be using Uku to get back to Lakebed. I probably should have saved before stealing the bombs, just in case this fight goes bad. But surely I'll be fine. Yeah, I specifically use the Lent bomb bag because it doesn't stay in my inventory at the end of the run. So I won't have any bomb bag at the end of the run. Get these water bombs, which they say that you can't use these water bombs while you're swimming. I'm going to show you that that is a big lie, and you shouldn't believe it. So, the Morphle fight is kind of scary, because I don't have the Zora armor, which means I can't breathe underwater. But hopefully we have ways around it that should work. Hopefully Morphle will just be really nice. There will be no time lost during this fight whatsoever. So you see that air meter in the corner? That needs to not hit 0. My PB lost 6 minutes on this fight. Unfortunate RNG there. I went back to Lakebed, or to Morpheel's Mouth too fast. So I'm going to have to start from the ground here, which is more difficult. I am not doing one bomb. I have never done one bomb. And really, really longathon is not the time to start. So yeah, I'm currently swimming with a water bomb, which the game told me was impossible. Unfortunately, I didn't react to the RNG right there. Just by force unequipping the iron boots while I was pulling the bomb out. Once again, I'd like to remind everyone that iron boots belong on X and no other button. This is a little risky. Please go down. Okay, we're fine. The eel is dead. Yeah, the bombs, because I'm not supposed to be swimming with them, when I release them in the water while I'm swimming, the game thinks I'm on ground for a split second, and that refills my air meter. So I just saved 6 minutes over my PB. Let's go. Unfortunately, not quite an optimal Morpheel fight, though. So there's a heart container there. That heart container would like be useful. There's a dungeon later that if I die in, that would pretty much kill the run. So maybe I should grab it. What do you think, guys? Should I grab that heart container? Should I grab that heart container in this low percent speedrun? The answer is no. You said no, you passed. Put it next to the Death Mountain portal. I wish. Alright, now it's time for Midnight's Desperate Hour, so I'm just going to shut up and you can enjoy the music. Okay, I didn't get Louis' glitch, so I won't talk about it. It's possible to get a funny camera during that, but I missed it, so... Sag. Tried, geez. Yeah, low percent is still 15 hours, and we stare at rupees for 11 of those hours. Well, the world record is just over 14 hours, I should say. Yes, you can transform, but you can't warp. Specifically because I have the Master Sword. In casual gameplay, you can't transform at this point. So that was the only Poe that I get during this speedrun. Any percent gets 4 Poes, I get 1. Nah, nothing weird happens with it. I'll be transforming during the sewers at one point. Transforming right here. Yeah, skipping 3 Poes is what the purpose of the other rupee side I'll do is. That's why we do it. I'm going to try to get that Bolden Archer to land in the water. Turns out, if most enemies in this game die if they touch water. Which is fantastic. %+ gets all of the important ones. The first Uku letter is not important. I guess for enemies, yeah, keep going. Something close to true 100% was what I did 3 days ago, a really, really long con. 100%+. Which, it isn't quite all permanent flags, but it gets pretty much everything in the game. I'm a little surprised I landed that, not gonna lie. And if you want to see 100%++, which is a lot closer to all permanent flags, G's in the chat did a run of that. Alright, now I need to go to this Golden Wolf because I need a hidden skill. I need the first hidden skill in order to beat the game. Normally, you would get this hidden skill, the ending blow, in Ferret, in North Ferret, before entering the Forest Temple. But we can just get it from this wolf and it's fine. Yes, shoutouts to Thursday. I have also forgotten the ending blow in one speedrun. Never again. I forgot it in a Moonjump All Dungeons speedrun. It is a great category. Okay. There's still one dungeon between now and Arbiter's Grounds. Arbiter's Grounds being where the next post slide is, or where the next rupee slide is. I hope we don't see a post slide. That would mean I killed a foe. And I went to Lake Hylia anyway because I was talking about Arbiters. We're going to Snow Peak next. Snow Peak is my favorite dungeon in this game. It's a really cool one. We'll see map glitch again. Am I up here? Map glitch to disable the loading zones, specifically so I can run through the blizzard. And there's some new tech in Snow Peak as well that saves a tiny amount of time. Hopefully I'll be able to get it fixed. Temple of Time is literally the worst dungeon. Jeez, I don't know what you're talking about. Arbiter's Grounds is cool, though. Lots of interesting tech. Also, I would have expected you to say Goron Mines, considering you have just spent a few months grinding Goron Mines ILs. Anyway. The IL community, individual level community for Twilight Princess has grown recently, and it's really cool to see. How about we don't do that, little Tuffy? So I held at the Howling Stone to reload the area to get rid of map glitch. The ring is indeed not on Y. Unfortunate. Sometimes those keys are nice enough to let you through, sometimes they aren't. There is theoretically a consistent way to avoid them, which I currently do not know. When I do an LJA, this is to skip the portal up there, which has a fun side effect, that the fog doesn't disappear. So I'm going to be snowboarding in fog. We call this blind snowboarding. It kind of sucks. So hopefully I don't fall here. Hopefully everything goes well. Capital D : TGD. So, I'm doing a lot of jumps here because that is the fastest way. You keep your speed at a consistent fast speed when you're in the air, where it fluctuates on the ground. So I try to stay in the air as long as possible. However, when I'm lining up a jump up here, I will not be in the air because that would be really hard. Okay, that was the hard jump in blind snowboarding. I pretty much nailed it right in the middle, so that was good. Didn't have any problems finishing up. There's some mid text at the bottom of this snowboarding section that I'm going to try to skip. Hopefully I'll make it. Yes, successfully skipped. I probably don't need these, but I'm going to grab them just in case. Okay. The only thing I need in Snow Peak Ruins is the ball and chain, and 200 rupees. So, I'm going to be going essentially directly to the ball and chain. By claw-shotting through the ceiling here, we can skip quite a bit of the dungeon. And then I'm just going to casually side-hop through the floor. I said side-hop through the floor. And then there's this freezer on the top of the ladder. There is some new tech to be able to climb this ladder without triggering the freezer. I mean, without the freezer getting in our way. I am missing it. It's a frame-perfect trick. That was too late that time. But by dropping on that specific frame, the freezer will stop attacking, and then I just have to do that again right there. And the freezer will stop attacking, and I can go on. Full freezered. That's a pretty new tech. It's called Ladder Freezer Cancel, LFC. But you will hear people refer to it as FFS, for Final Freezer Skip. It's an audio cue, Jengar. Or Jengar? Yeah. The freezer will make a specific noise if you got it right. Now this boss is kind of silly. It's really hard sometimes to make the boss throw the ball and chain, but that was relatively fast. Except I missed the one cycle. Cool. It's not even a hard one cycle. Yeah, there have been some big changes in low percent in the last year, including the rupee slides got shorter, and we cut out a rupee slide from the run. It was just a bunch more research and one new trick discovered. So I'd have to skip the rupee text, and then save warp to get back to the lobby of the dungeon. Baten Kaito's 100% is still 2 weeks long, so that hasn't changed. Okay, get this keys for my last set of 100 rupees. I need to be at 300 rupees to get the city in the sky. I'm 14 rupees short, but that shouldn't be a problem. Now it's time to go to Arbiter's Grounds, which is the location of the last rupee slide in the run. Did I say keys? I am so sorry. It is definitely a bubble. There's a little bit of tech that I did there called a brake slide, whereby holding a slide just slightly down and targeting in a specific way, I can walk backwards, and it is slightly faster up slopes. But I do it for the camera in those cases. %+ has to get every chest in the game, so it doesn't get all of the grottos, but it gets all of the ones with chests. Alright, get Aru's memo from Aru. That'll let us get to the desert. Alright. There is some RNG in the next rupee slide, which will be pretty soon after I enter Arbiters. However, it shouldn't be that bad. There's like a 30% chance that I get the good RNG. A little higher than 30, if I remember correctly. 34? I don't remember what the number was. Alright, fire, posture check. Yep, posture's better now. Also, remember to hydrate, everyone. Alright, I have the camera zoomed out a little bit. This is just to reduce some lag. And fortunately I have the ball and chain at this point, which will let me get into the next part of the desert without even having to worry about the boars. Can just break that and then roll a few times to clip through this. No, I'm not going for Stallard skip, EGD. Alright, gonna be getting map glitch here again, and I'm going to go for the strat that will make all of the Twilight Princess runners cry. This loses 3 seconds over the optimal strat, but it is very easy and consistent. It makes us fly directly to this boss fight. Technically skips a small peak. Wow, not even the Snow Peak Isle. Sag. My favorite IL is the Snow Peak 100% IL, which is really cool. But my favorite category overall is probably Moonjump All Dungeons, which I haven't done enough of. Okay, it is time. It is time for Arbiter's Grounds. That was a gold. That was the first gold in the run. So, coming up soon, the next couple of minutes, I'm going to be setting up for the last rupee slide in the run. This rupee slide will last 9 hours and 40 minutes. I think I might wait a little bit longer just to be 100% sure it gets through. At like 9:46 in that case. And yeah, there is a consistent setup for the angle, which was found by G's and Link1183 and me. We all contributed. And as long as the rupee bounces far enough, I'll be able to get this really easily. This rupee slide is to skip 3 pose and a small key. It would be really nice if, like, the pose just didn't close the gate here and I could just go through, right? Can I just do that? Come on. Please? Please pose? Please? Just don't close it. You don't need to close it. We've tried to find ways around this cutscene, and there's just nothing. Unless we can get storage like the Wind Waker has, I don't think that's gonna happen. Alright. This pot has a blue rupee in it. This blue rupee is very important. This is the blue rupee we will be staring at for 9 hours and 40 minutes, as long as it bounces far enough. So now I do this setup. And hopefully just one more. Nope, that was a frame late. Okay. This should be the angle I need. The rupee did not bounce far enough, unfortunately, so I will have to reload. Try again. If the rupee doesn't bounce far enough, it means that the slide starts slightly further from the wall, which can add as much as half an hour to the run. Anyway, now this is the rupee that will decide. It bounced the same amount as the last one. Okay, we'll see it soon. It has like a 1/3 chance of bouncing far enough. In my latest run, though, it took me 8 minutes to get this. It took me quite a while to get a good bounce. And that run almost PB'd. Because my PB is bad. That might be far enough. If it isn't, I'll just have to reset. That is far enough. Okay, so we are now in the post slide. I am going to be staring at this rupee for 9 hours and 40 minutes. It's going to end right about the 13-hour mark on the timer. If you want to watch, the Zmax will be at -3425 at the end of the slide. The flags I have behind me, it's the Spanish flag, the Pennsylvania flag, the Betsy Ross American flag, and the one that I'm covering mostly is the Australian Aboriginal flag. They're chosen by my peers. Alright. So, that's a good question. What are we going to do during the slide? They've told me that we're not going to do anything. This is just going to be what the stream is for the next 9.5 hours. We're just going to be pondering this rupee for a very long time. Nope, not doing a 100% run. Just staring at the rupee. That's it. I'll probably go AFK at some point. I imagine that the in-game units are essentially pixels. I imagine that's essentially what they are. So, Link is currently moving at a speed of 0.000987 in-game units per second, so probably about 0.000987 pixels per second. It's a channel point reward on my channel, Gallon. Okay, I will explain the slide again. There is that command that explains it fairly well. There are a couple of videos that explain it as well. But basically, this animation where Link is staring at the rupee and bobbing a little back and forth, there's a missing frame in it, which means that Link is actually very slowly going backwards into the wall. at a very, very, very slow speed. And because of that, and because Link's collision is disabled while we're doing this, after 9.5 hours, I will be able to press A and be clipped into the wall. Oh yeah, if Really Really Longthon wants to put some music on instead of this, because it really is just this wind for 9.5 hours. Yeah, the Mario 64 A button challenge has a similar thing, where you have to wait a very long time for platforms to rise. So I'll give the quick advertisement. If you like Twilight Princess speedruns, you can join the Twilight Princess Discord if you're looking to run the game. We have a fairly active community. And also, I run every category of the game. So, if you're interested in watching more Twilight Princess speedruns, give me a follow. Also follow all of the other Twilight Princess speedrunners they are, because they're all good. So, there is no visual difference from doing it right and doing it wrong, other than we have a setup to get it right every time. We do use this cheat code to say what our coordinates are at any given time. It is allowed in this category specifically because of the scale of the slides, and that if you do the setup slightly wrong, then you will mess up. But the thing that is important in this slide is the angle. So if my angle is slightly off, I would have a bad speed. So, hope everyone has a good New Year's. I could probably put the text up of when this will end. Actually, probably going to be closer to 1305. I'm sure OT was more than 255, but I'm not sure exactly. TP has twice that, TGD. Sorry, I bumped my mic with my water bottle. That probably made a noise. Yeah, that number is right. Yep. My best possible time is now worse than PB, so there's no worry about that anymore. Should definitely be able to finish underestimate, though. Anyway, we've nearly made it half a unit since starting the slide. And we'll need to make it 35 units total. So take the amount of time that's elapsed so far, multiply it by 35, and that's how long it is. It will take 9 hours and 40 minutes. About 1 unit every 17 minutes. So, how's everyone doing? Having a good day? I'll probably go AFK sometime soon. I'm probably going to stay near my computer for the whole time, but I don't need to sit here and talk. The 100% world record is 6 hours and 17 minutes. So this run is more than double the length of 100%. I could do a 100 run, but they told me that I didn't need to, so... Yeah, Skyward, that lowercase blue has also been confusing to me. Alright, I'm gonna go AFK. I'll still be in chat. If you have questions about what's happening, there's the slide command that you can call to get a small explanation. There are also some good YouTube videos that cover it. One from Lowest% and one on my channel. Yeah, we'll be pressing A in 9.5 hours. See ya.